America. I started a little hobby for myself during my Facebook hiatus, and I was going to explain it to all you guys in a post, and I just realized it'd be the longest post in history. It would be 5 pages long. So I'm making this little instructional video for you to explain to you what my new and exciting hobby is. I've been calling it an existential hobby, so it may be a tad more fascinating than your average stamp collection. Anyway, I at one point about a few months ago, you saw me posting that I was buying little buttons to put on my man purse that I carry with me here in New York. In order to survive, you have to have a bag to carry around with you to put things in, and I'd put little buttons of obvious the Beatles and Springsteen and things like that on my bag, and I started looking around the internet trying to find things that relate to stuff that I like, and I could find stuff here and there. It's easy enough to find the Beatles, but I couldn't find very esoteric things that I appreciate to put on my bag. Then I found this place in upstate New York called Wacky Buttons that for 50 cents will make you whatever button you design for them. And so I started digging around the internet, and I have developed what I call my consciousness box. This is my box that contains all the little things that pinball around in my head every day, all the little pieces of pop culture and all the memories that I have from my childhood and everything else that sort of generate the foundation of who I am as a person. And everybody would have their own unique consciousness box, but this one is mine. And so I dig around and think to myself, like, what is something that's really meant something to me in my life, or an intense memory that I have. I go look for a good picture of it and then design the button and have one made for myself. And so far I haven't counted them, but I must have 200 buttons here. So I'll show you an example. I'm just going to randomly select a button from the consciousness box. That's the little guy that's on the cover of Catch-22, my favorite book, written by the brilliant Joseph Heller. I also have a button in here of Joseph Heller actually riding in his B-52 bomber during World War II, which led to, of course, the writing of Catch-22. Here's another one. That would be Cleveland Browns running back Jim Brown, who my dad spoke of as if he were Jesus in pads, which is not too far from the truth, given how the Browns have done since he left. Aha, our first Bruce button. There are many Bruce buttons in here. There are many Beatles buttons. There are many Dylan buttons, but some other people get doubled up too. There's some Randy Newman in there. This is an interesting one. When I was in high school, I listened to Billy Joel's The Stranger all the time, and people are always stunned that I like Billy Joel, but I like the best Billy Joel albums. The first 4 or 5 albums are really good pop albums, and people don't give him credit for it because he started making junk albums. But he was kind of a Paul McCartney an American Paul McCartney, and I like Billy Joel. Okay, here's another button. Let's grab another one. All right, that is a self-portrait by my favorite painter, Francis Bacon. Some people think Francis Bacon's paintings are very violent. I think they're very lonely. I think he's misunderstood. I think he's probably wasn't a good person, but it's easy to be a not perfectly decent person and still be, a functioning human being. But yeah, Francis Bacon is probably not as crazy as everybody thought he was. Here's one of Evel Knievel jumping over a bunch of cars. When I was a little kid, there was nothing I liked better than watching Evel Knievel crash a motorcycle. I have this theory that he's unique in American entertainment because he had to fail in order for people to be interested in him. If he landed his jump every single time, who cares? Evel Knievel landed another jump. If he flips over and breaks his pelvis and has a bone sticking out of the back of his neck, hey, did you see what Evel Knievel did? So it's like a comedian who has to fail. It's an interesting concept. Let's see. Here, let's do another one. That would be Larry Doby, the second African-American baseball player in Major League Baseball who played for the Cleveland Indians. Doesn't get the credit he deserves because he showed up literally like a month and a half after Jackie Robinson, and Jackie already had all the headlines. But Larry Doby went through it too, kids, just as bad as Jackie did. And he's a heroic figure in American history, and he played for my Cleveland Indians, and there's Larry Doby. That's a remake of a button from the 1950s. I find actual buttons and then place them over the new design. And let's see, there's the Bad News Bears. Walter Matthau. My dad took me and my brother and our friend Greg Thrower, who was on my baseball team at the time, to see the Bad News Bears. That was a fond memory for me. Here's Little Richard, and there's Little Richard. One of the better rock and roll albums in the 1950s. Little Richard, of course, one of the creators of rock and roll. And we're going to do one more, and then I'll be done. Aha. Major Matt Mason, my favorite toy to play with when I was a kid, along with my G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe and Matt Mason were basically me from the age of 6 until I was about 10. Loved Major Matt Mason. He was great. So anyway, that's my consciousness box. As it goes along, I will show you more of them. Perhaps you too would like to create a consciousness box. I also tell my kids that when I'm gone, they get like, when I'm no longer existing, they can grab a handful of these and go, let's dig around inside Dad's brain and see what's going on. Oh, look at that. John Lennon in Hamburg. How about that? Here we got Burning Spear, one of the great reggae artists of all time. There we go. Ooh, a Nerf ball. That's a Nerf ball. All right. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.